does. It smells so good.
Mine's gone. Do you want to try Mossman's?
No way. No, sir. I like my fresh pine scent.
You never smelled it. It just sits in a case.
I know. That's why I'm preserving it.
I actually smell my dad.
I'm smelling mine right now. I wouldn't have any smell
Hey,
left if I tried it.
You should put a stinker with him.
Oh, cancel out the smells? What are we doing? We haven't even done an intro.
We're talking.
Oh, well, we'll get back to talking. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another MOTUfigures.com video spotlight on Mossman. Okay, so yeah. When Stinkor comes out, man, you know, he smelled really strong when he first came out. I wonder how bad Stinkor is going to be when he first comes out.
Oh, it's probably going to be... Guess what I told Mom once? I tricked her into thinking it was Mossman. I told her, it smells really good. Then I told her to close her eyes, and I tricked her and I made Stinkor go up to her nose.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, because the Stinkor still stinks. The vintage figure still stinks. My Mossman still has a strong smell.
Yeah, it's like...
I don't know why I guess because you play with it and stuff like that, that maybe it... kind of the smell wears off or something? I don't know how that would work. But, okay, so we're doing Mossman. This one, we have a lot to talk about on. Because when they first showed him, they showed him with all this flock all over him, right?
What do you mean by flock?
All this stuff. This mossy
I
flock.
accidentally dropped mine on the carpet the other day, and I was like, no, I have to pick all these.
Oh, yeah, it picks up hairs like crazy if you leave it sitting out. Especially with the cat upstairs.
The cat's been crawling around mine lately when I had it down.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, the vintage one picks up hair like crazy, dude. So, when they first showed him, he was covered in this flocking. And everybody's like, oh, cool, we got, this is our first flocked figure. It's going to be awesome. And then they talked about how they weren't going to be able to do the flock as well as it was at the one they showed at San Diego because of all the joints. That the flocking was going to interfere with the joints. So they offered fans, they were telling fans we can do it a couple of different ways. We can, fully flock him and get rid of some of the joints. We can give him no flock, and he would just be a painted green Mossman, basically. I would not like that either. And then they said, well, maybe we can do a thing where we don't flock certain spots. We'll leave a couple of the spots a little bare so that the articulation's still there. And I think that was easily the best solution.
Yeah. Because
we still get this movement, and it's really not that bad. I mean, there are a couple little bare spots. You got a bare spot right here on the elbow, bare spot around the shoulder, bare spots at the top of the legs, knees. All the spots where he would move, they've had to leave it bare, except for the torso joint, which still has a good amount of flock on it. I mean, there's a little bareness back there, but it still looks pretty good.
Right.
So all these spots they left bare, so that way he would have this articulation.
Oh my God. I've seen the 2000X one. Like, if they made it no flock and all just green paint, they just have to give it the, 2000X head. That wouldn't really have any point being there. Because, 2000X is, this really, darker green instead.
But he's flocked. The figure's flocked.
Well, yeah, but if it wasn't flocked and it was just, painted green, it would only give it the 2000X head right there. Probably.
Well, you mean if they hadn't have flocked him, would they only give him the 2000X head?
Mm-hmm.
No, they would have still given him both heads.
Oh.
Yeah, they would have still given him the Beastman head because it was the thing where, the vintage figure had a Beastman head, but they wanted to do a dedicated Mossman head. So they gave him sort of the 2000X-esque head, so that way they could have two different heads on him, so that you're not just stuck with just a Beastman repaint.
At first when I first saw this, I definitely thought this was the 2000X head, because all those,
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, because he's got sort of that root thing going in his face in the 2000X? Yeah. Well, it's more like the peaceful, calm look at the 2000X as opposed to the look at the vintage figure. Let me finish up about the flock first before we get off on the heads. If you look at this, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent about Panther. Panther has a lot more joints than Mossman does. So if they were to have done Panther's flocked, he would have had all these bald spots everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it would have worked as well on him as it works on him. Because a lot of these joints are sort of hidden, and there's not as many. I think it just works a lot better to do these bare spots on him than it would be if we got a flocked Panther. Mm-hmm. I think a flocked Panther would have a lot of bald spots. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Okay, as far as the heads go, which you've already kind of started talking about it, we got two different heads. We got the vintage style, which is a Beastman repaint, just flocked.
That's a Beastman?
It's exactly just like the vintage figure. It's just a Beastman head that's been flocked and painted green, and he's got kind of the looking off to the side look like the vintage figure. And then we've got sort of a 2000X styled head, which is
kind of cool.
It's neat. It's a neat head, I actually kind of prefer, because I'm a vintage guy, I'll always prefer the vintage figure.
Right.
But the thing I like about this, and we'll get into this in the bio, is he's a character in MOTU Classics that's very old. That goes back to King Grayskull days, all the way up to He-Man days.
Right.
So I almost look at the 2000s X-Style head as his Preternia look. Like, this is how he looked back then. And this Beastman head, since he's kind of, his hair's coming back a bit, and he looks a little older and a little meaner, that he's lived all this time, and this is the He-Man era head. That's the way I look at it.
This is how I look at it. He has no difference either way.
Oh, you don't care either way? You just like both heads?
Yep.
I like that I really enjoy that they included two heads here. Because it does satisfy the 2000X fans on this one.
And I like this head because, it's kind of just like this closed mouth, and it's not bumpy there at all, and...
Yeah, I understand why you like this one. And I don't have any problem with the people that like this one. It's just not my favorite. And this was a great opportunity in this one for them to do something for the 2000X fans, because when you change his head, that's really all you need to change on Mossman to get that 2000X look.
One more thing that we're going to go into.
What's that?
The knife and stuff like that.
Oh, we'll get into the accessories, yeah. I want to talk about one other thing when it comes to the heads first, though. When they first showed the pictures, I think it was when they first showed it, when they first showed the pictures, his ears were flocked. His ears were covered up on his head. The flocking covered the ears on the 2000X style. The flocking covered the ears on the vintage style. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe the vintage figure's ears were flocked. I think that was all covered. It's been a while since I looked at the vintage figure. A lot of people didn't like that. They thought it looked weird that the ears were covered up. So they asked, man, is there any way the ears can be uncovered? And at first, if I remember right, this has been a long time since this figure came out, they said that they wouldn't think they'd be able to do that in time, but then they were able to do it in time, but they'd already produced some of the flocked ears versions, so they put them both on the site that first day. They said there's a flocked eared and there's an unflocked eared. There's not many flocked eared to go around, though, so if you want this one, it's going to be gone fast. And it was gone super fast.
Did you get...
I got it, yeah. But it was gone, I want to say within like a minute or two. It was gone so fast. So there are two different versions out there.
Did you buy both versions?
I did. I bought both versions.
For Mossman's.
No, I bought two because I always buy two where I just buy one of each head.
Is that your flocked?
Yeah, but in this case, I wanted an unflocked ears for my 2000X version, but I liked the flocked ears on the vintage version. So in this case, for buying two heads, I was able to just do one of each flocked and unflocked and get the looks I wanted. And then some of them were showing up, like one head had flocked ears, one had unflocked ears. It was a kind of a hodgepodge because they were switching production midway through. So that's the other weird thing about this. One thing I did not dig that much on him is that they used this longer loincloth. I hate the long Preternia loincloth.
I don't mind it that much.
I know you don't, but I don't like it that much. It's just, it looks just almost too long and it's kind of restrictive. I don't really like the longer loincloth. And I think for Mossman as a character, he's more of a current character. What are you doing there?
Sometimes my teeth were sticking to my lips.
Yeah?
I was trying to get them off.
Oh, okay. Mossman to me is more of a current day character, like a He-Man era character, than he is a Preternia character. So in his case, I wish they would have gone with the regular loincloth instead of the longer loincloth to reflect him being a Preternia character.
Well, I find it this way. Never mind, I don't get what I was going to say.
I don't know. Are you awake today?
Yeah. This is... Okay, I'm going to say what I was going to say, but after I thought over it, I didn't even understand what I was going to say.
Okay, this should be good.
Well, maybe they gave it... maybe they gave it the longer loincloth, because they gave it 2000X, but then I went back and thought, no, because there is also a vintage head, but... And then I just had a few other thoughts in my head about it, and I don't understand.
Okay. Well, thanks for your thoughts on Mossman, Blaze. Okay, so his accessories. He comes with the club like the vintage figure, and they've done this really cool rope thing on it. And it looks like old wood.
Like, it's almost the same as Clawfuls, except they did, like, that seashell at the bottom.
Well, the thing is that the vintage Clawful and the vintage Mossman come with the same weapon. But
they tweaked it a little.
Yeah, exactly, to reflect that they're different characters instead of just repainting the same weapon. And again, also with like the Palace Guards, they gave them this thing too, but it's not just repainted version of this. It's actually a separate sculpt.
Not like those ropes.
Exactly, it doesn't look like it's made out of wood. But for him, this is awesome. It's almost like he grew this weapon. I think that's really cool. And then he's got this I guess, pouch strap thing. And this works, I think, better on the 2000X version than it does on the vintage version head. Mm-hmm. It, again, looks like it's got little leaves. It looks like he grew it, like it's a vine.
Like, I liked it on my vintage head, but then one day I grabbed my Mossman, I was like, where's his pouch?
Oh, you lost it?
No, I didn't lose it. I just didn't bother to look through my bin.
Oh, okay. Well, it's cool that they included it. Anytime they include an extra accessory, you can't complain. You know what I mean?
Like
and he's got
guns for the moot that are based on the
exactly. Yeah. Anytime they include something extra, that's cool.
And I like the knife. Like I was having this thing where these.
We haven't got the knife out yet.
Let's get the knife out first.
Okay, so the knife looks like a black stone that again has that wood handle and it's wrapped up. Now, what do you say about the knife?
Okay, well, it's kind of a little funny thing, and like Wondar and all these, like all the pre-attorney guys were having a little camp out, and all they had to eat was bread, so they had to use the knife to butter it.
Because Wondar comes with bread, right?
Yep. And they had to use the knife to butter it.
I guess it's the only food that's been in the line so far, really. Until Gwildor comes out and they give him a bucket of chicken or something.
Yeah,
then they'll be good.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. So he comes with that, and that fits real nicely into the little sheath that's on here. And it's got a little sculpted bag that maybe has seeds inside of it or something like that. Or money, you know. He's got bling with him. One of those things. So that's all of his accessories and things. Great figure. I think he's...
It's really good.
Amazing. Oh, there is one more thing.
Bio?
No, there's one more thing about the figure. Now, when we got our figures into the store, Matt, his figure, had a knee that was totally, like, separated. It was, like, not pushed together all the way. It was just really bad quality control. That was one thing I noticed on, like, mine. I had 2 loose knees, and I had something else going on with one of them. But he had a loose knee on his, and so he was like, oh, man, this knee is really loose. It was totally destroyed. I mean, it was really bad.
So you had to order a whole nother one?
No. Well, he was going to try and fix it first. So he said, you know, I'm going to try and fix this. And so he said, I'm gonna put the knee back together again. This figure's worthless right now because I can't even use it. So he went to dip it in warm water to get the joint softened again. Which is, I mean, a customizing tool, or customizing method that everybody uses. You dip the thing in warm water to heat it up, and it softens it, and then you can shape the plastic back together again.
Ooh, that'd be kind of bad for his, like, legs, like...
Exactly. So he dipped it in the warm water, and he had it in there for a few seconds, and he went to pull it out, and he pushed the knee back together again, and the flocking was just...
Gone?
Shedding off. I mean, it was just coming off like crazy. Ooh. And we were like, oh no, they used a water-soluble glue on this. The water dissolves the glue. Mm-hmm. And so, as kind of a tongue-in-cheek, funny thing, we put up a video where Mossman doesn't like to shower or something like that, where we put one of the heads in water, and we kept it in there, and we'd pull it out, and we'd look at it and rub it, and then put it in some more and look at it and rub it. And the Mossman was just coming right off. I mean, it just came right off. And it was sort of done in fun, but also as a warning for any customizers or anybody that was going to use that method not to use that method.
One thing you could really do for this thing to customize is pop his head off, put on something else. That's like or pops like a part that comes off and put on something else.
Yeah, that's an easy way to customize, is popping his head off. And, you know, knowing that it is water-soluble glue makes it a little easier to get this off if you're customizing the body. So using water can get this off, a little bit of rub-in and water, and it comes right off. But it was something to warn everybody that, hey, if you're going to use that method to put a joint together, don't use a hairdryer, use something else. Because another guy just, like, had it sitting on the desk, and water spilled on it or something like that, and it shedded a bunch off there. It was bad. So it was a really bad thing, but then it was like kind of, like, Scott at Toy Guru kind of treated it like it was a joke, and was constantly saying these aren't bath toys, and not a bath toy, and stuff like that, which, okay, that's fun that you're having fun with it, but at the same time, it's just nice to give out a warning if somebody uses that method. It's a pretty well-known method to use boiling water to heat something up and shape it. But, okay, so that's all the Mossman doesn't shower thing. Great figure, very cool. I love that they flocked him. I'm glad they came up with a way to do it. I would have not liked him just to be sculpted in green. I think it would have been super lame. Awesome figure.
It would be kind of easier to customize. But
it would be easier to customize, but
it wouldn't look as cool.
Yeah, you don't want to think about customizing first and foremost. You want to think about having a good figure first and foremost. Right. All right, here we go. Mossman, heroic spy and master of camouflage. Real name, Krianat Nihurash. Thought of for many centuries to be an urban legend, the creature called Mossman was in fact an ancient Eternian nature god and allied to King Grayskull. During the rise of Skeletor and the subsequent battles with the Snake Men and Horde invaders, Mossman often joined forces with the Masters of the Universe, helping to protect freedom for all forms of life. He was instrumental in helping them win the second Ultimate Battleground, using his powers over plant life and his fur of forest green to fool and frustrate his wicked foes. I got no problems.
I have a question about all these battleground stuff.
Yeah.
Is it like World Wars for Eternity?
Kinda, yeah. They're kind of like they're calling it like the Ultimate Battleground.
I don't really like the battle. Wait, no. Oh, okay, I like the the battleground thing. I renamed it for my Eternia War thing. It's like the third one, but I just don't. For some reason, I just decided to call it no, because it's a completely different thing. My Eternia Wars.
I don't even know where you're going with any of this.
Yeah.
You've been on the crazy juice for this one, man. You've been all over the place.
I'm trying to think of more ideas for different stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's always good to think of more ideas for stuff. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't have a problem with Bio, do you?
Not really.
I kind of like that he's an old character that's made it all these centuries. You know what I mean? Like that he's an ancient character that's made it all this time. I think that's a cool aspect to him. And other than that, I mean, everything's just Mossman. So I don't have a problem with anything here, really. Yeah, this one's fine. Not much to say about the ones we like. Alright, so that's it for that one. Don't forget, subscribe. 400 subscribers, pick one. James Heatalk's unofficial guide. Yada, yada, yada. And that's it. Win a free book, yep. 400 subscribers. We'll give one of them a book. Ready to sign off? We'll do some Grayskull stands? Yeah. Alright.
Yeah.
So they'll actually probably see this one after the Grayskull stands. So you'll know by now that we didn't like the Grayskull stands. So, alright. So, we'll see you next time on MOTUFigures.com Video Spotlights.
Yep.
Alright. Good journey.